What is going on, guys? Nobody needs to be told about the pain, punishment, and long-term effects football players go through during and after their playing careers. It's a violent sport, and you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot to play it. From broken bones to muscle tears to severe infections or swelling of certain areas, NFL players have suffered several brutal injuries that the average human can't even imagine enduring. Here are 10 NFL-related injuries that you simply don't want. But first, a couple of honorable mentions. Turf toe. Turf toe is especially common in sports activities. It's a sprain to the main joint of your big toe. And though turf toe isn't a long-term injury, it's certainly painful enough to the point where it can largely affect your performance. Turf toe is a common injury for NFL players. Tennessee Titans wide receiver Corey Davis endured it during the 2019 season. 1 year after breaking out in 2018, that severely affected his performance, and it was only revealed after the season that he had it. No, it won't limit your day-to-day lives too much, and there are far more severe injuries to deal with, but it's still an injury you'll never want to experience. I've actually had it before, and yeah, no, it sucked. It sucked a lot. Did not feel good. Plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis is the inflammation of tissue beneath the foot, which connects the heel bone and toes. Like turf toe, this isn't a serious enough injury that could end your career, but it's extremely painful and almost impossible to play through. Walking is extremely painful, and it can lead to pain in other areas such as the hip and knee. In his final NFL season, Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning fought through a partially torn plantar fascia. The decision was made to sit him indefinitely while he recovered, and Brock Osweiler started the next 6 games. Manning's play had declined rapidly in his final season. The accuracy and zip on his passes just wasn't there, and the plantar fascia clearly affected his performance. At any rate, he returned in Week 17 and managed to help Denver win Super Bowl 50 in what turned out to be his final season. Now to the actual list. Number 10, dislocated elbow. And we don't even want to think of the pain for this one. Any form of elbow injury in the NFL is just gruesome. Joe Montana missed practically 2 full seasons recovering from elbow surgery, which led to the end of his tenure with the San Francisco 49ers. Pittsburgh Steelers icon Terry Bradshaw had to retire early because of an elbow injury. Ben Roethlisberger's career was in jeopardy when he suffered one in Week 2 of the 2019 season, though he made a full recovery and returned to the field in 2020. More specifically, it's a dislocated elbow that you simply don't want. These are season enders in the NFL. Former Cincinnati Bengals star tight end Tyler Eifert suffered one in Week 1 of the 2014 campaign, thus ending his hopeful breakout year. If recovery doesn't go well, these can be career-ending injuries too, or they can at least severely affect your performance throughout the remainder of your career. Number 9, swollen testicle. Oh boy. During a 2020 interview on the Howard Stern Show, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and former New England Patriot quarterback Tom Brady shared some pretty interesting details regarding an injury he had in his groin area at one point during his career. Brady shed some light on the time he suffered a swollen testicle during a game, claiming it grew to the size of an orange. He didn't specify when it happened, but presumably it was during the 2005 season, when it was reported that Brady was dealing with a sports hernia. His teammate and backup quarterback, Matt Castle, would even tease Brady about the injury. Having played at a higher level for 2 decades, Brady has dealt with a lot of injuries. He suffered a season-ending ACL tear in Week 1 of the 2008 season. He's had the odd knee and foot injuries too, and probably much more that hasn't been disclosed. But it sure sounds like few things were as painful for Tom as that quote-unquote sports hernia. With the way he described it, yeah, that's not an injury you want at all. Number 8, broken ribs. Broken ribs aren't exactly career-threatening by any means, and they don't sideline you long-term compared to other gruesome injuries. Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry, and San Francisco 49ers tight end George Kittle have admitted to playing through a fractured rib injury. That said, a broken rib or ribs means excruciating pain when breathing. Casual things like laying or sitting down, sneezing and coughing can cause immense pain. No thanks to broken ribs. This is an injury that's going to affect your everyday routine. Number 7, fractured collarbone. This doesn't need much explanation. Don't even try to imagine the pain and how much it would hold you back from doing all the little things. Picking things up, brushing your teeth, opening a door, and so on. Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers unfortunately suffered collarbone fractures in the 2013 and 2017 seasons, missing significant time in each, and the team struggled mightily without him, coming off an MVP-like 2014 season. Former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo sadly suffered a broken left collarbone in Week 2 of the 2015 season. He returned 9 weeks later, but unfortunately suffered a shoulder injury on Thanksgiving, which ended his season. And in his Week 1 2019 debut with the Jaguars, Nick Foles suffered a left collarbone fracture. which derailed his lone season in Duval County. The good news is that you can make a recovery within a couple of months. Number 6, dislocated hip. This is another cringe-worthy injury that can end one's career. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa was expected to be the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, but he slipped down to the 5th spot after suffering a dislocated hip in his final year at Alabama. Thankfully, Tagovailoa made a full recovery and was cleared to play in 2021. American sports icon Bo Jackson, who played in both the NFL and Major League Baseball, had to retire early from the gridiron because of a hip injury. Otherwise, who knows what he could have accomplished. Former Baltimore Ravens star tight end Dennis Pitta, who was instrumental in helping the team win Super Bowl 47, had to retire early due to ongoing hip problems as well. This included a right hip fracture and dislocation that he suffered in the preseason. Dislocated hips are career-threatening in football. Not many football-related injuries are as awful as this one. Number 5, torn ACL, MCL. This one's pretty obvious. It's one of the most gruesome injuries the human body can possibly suffer. Just the sight of it can make you cringe. A torn ACL or MCL is especially common for athletes and those who are active in intense fitness and exercise activities. Thankfully, these aren't career-ending in most cases, but they almost always take anywhere from 9 months to a year, if not longer, to recover from. Many of our favorite NFL players have sadly suffered such an injury over the years. Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, Nick Bosa, Teddy Bridgewater. The list goes on and on. Bengals rookie quarterback Joe Burrow is just the latest big-name player to go down with a torn ACL and MCL. Hopefully, he'll be able to bounce back stronger than ever. Thankfully, advancements in science have allowed players to make strong enough recoveries to continue their playing careers after suffering this brutal knee injury. But in the 80s and 90s, torn ACLs were far more career-threatening. The amount of pain, the gruesome nature of the injury, and lengthy recovery time easily make this one of the top 5 injuries you really don't want. Number 4, fractured vertebrae. Here's another cringeworthy, scary, and downright painful injury that gives you the chills when you think about it. Tony Romo's playing career essentially ended after suffering a fractured vertebrae in his back during a 2016 preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. Dak Prescott took over as the starter that year, and Romo decided to retire in 2017. Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz had to miss the team's final 3 regular season games, plus the postseason in 2018, after suffering a fractured vertebrae in his back. It's not that common of an injury for NFL players, but it happens every now and then. Depending on your age, it can be career-threatening, and it can strongly and negatively affect your overall performance. It's just another awful NFL injury that nobody should ever have to endure. Number 3, Achilles tendon rupture. Many who suffer an Achilles tendon rupture sadly know right away how bad it is. They say you often hear a pop when you tear your Achilles. The pop is followed by extremely high levels of pain. Again, it only takes a player a second or two to notice that their season is over right then and there. This specific injury became a deep focus and talking point in the 2011 and 2014 seasons. Robert Mathis, Derek Johnson, and Mike DeVito all suffered season-ending Achilles tendon tears in Week 1 of the 2014 campaign. Back in 2011, then New York Times writer Judy Battista shared the data an alarming amount of Achilles tendon tears for NFL players alone. And in 2017, Sage Publications published a journal which showed some scary numbers from 2010 to 15. There were 78 cases of Achilles tendon ruptures in NFL players. 58% of those came in preseason, and 26% of these players never played football again. 26% is still kind of a lot. It's pretty hard for a lot of these players who suffer a torn Achilles to return to 100%, or anywhere even close to that level. It's a long road back from an Achilles tear, and most who suffer it are never the same again. That's why you shouldn't even wish this injury upon your worst enemy. Number 2, concussions. The extremely high rate of concussions in the NFL have been nothing short of terrifying. The league has tried to take certain measures in an effort to curb the number of head injuries, like enforcing strict concussion protocols and cracking down on helmet-to-helmet hits. But they're still happening. Too many forms of NFL players have discussed some form of memory loss or mood swings in their post-playing careers. The CTE studies have been alarming, and even Hall of Famer Brett Favre is now advocating for safer football, more specifically banning tackling in youth football. Athletes who suffer say only 1 or 2 concussions still often go through very difficult phases. Again, memory loss, mood swings, constant headaches, sensitivity to light, and sleeping problems are just some of the side effects. Concussions are also a major issue in hockey and MMA-related sports. Thankfully, there's more awareness than ever before, but there's still no simple treatment or an easy way of preventing them. Hopefully, advancements in technology and science will address the ongoing concussion problems in football and other sports. Number 1, fractured leg/fibula. Some of the most disturbing, hideous, and tragic injuries have involved a broken leg. Sadly, these can easily be career enders if treatment doesn't go accordingly. Former Washington quarterback Joe Theismann a Super Bowl champion and 1983 League MVP award winner, was enjoying a likely Hall of Fame career before a freak injury in a 1985 Monday night game against the Giants. During the game, Theismann was sacked by Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson. LT's knee went into Theismann's leg, fracturing his tibia and fibula in horrifying fashion. The injury sadly forced Theismann to retire. 30 years later, another Washington quarterback, this time Alex Smith, suffered the same injury in a 2015 home game against the Houston Texans. Smith fractured the tibia and fibula in his right leg while taking a sack from Kareem Jackson and J.J. Watt. This was not a simple recovery by any means. Smith required 17 surgeries, and doctors feared they'd have to amputate his right leg. During his recovery, Smith also suffered from a life-threatening condition called sepsis, which occurs when the body responds to an infection. Miraculously, Smith made a full recovery and took over as Washington's starter in the midst of the 2020 season. It was simply one of the greatest comeback stories in the history of professional sports. But Smith is more of an outlier than anything. Fractured tibias and fibulas don't often end in feel-good stories. It's a painful injury that can abruptly end one's career and negatively affect their livelihood. There really aren't many more NFL-related injuries that are as gruesome as this one. What other NFL injuries does nobody want to talk about? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, we're on everything. Go find us, go subscribe, go follow. Of course, subscribe to TPS down below because we post videos every day. Every day's a new video. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and of course, you know, all that other stuff. If there's anything else, comment down below. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know, I'm gonna go play Fortnite. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time. Bye.
My knee.